Moving on, it certainly could have been a whole lot worse for the father of ex-Detroit Mayor Kilpatrick.
A federal judge sentenced Bernard Kilpatrick to 15 months in prison for a tax conviction in the corruption case that put his son away for 28 years.
7 Action News investigator Ross Jones live downtown. And Ross, I know you got a chance here to say a few words with Bernard Kilpatrick. What do you have to say?
Well, Stephen, remember, Bernard Kilpatrick's words are what got him in federal court in the first place. So when he got a chance to address the judge today, he decided to stick to a script.
Mr. Kilpatrick, was that a fair sentence, sir?
Under dark and dreary skies, Bernard Kilpatrick emerged from federal court this afternoon with reason to feel pleased. He was handed down a relatively light prison sentence, about half the time federal prosecutors had originally pushed for. Kilpatrick said very little outside court today, but inside he read from prepared remarks. Standing next to his lawyer, John Shea, Kilpatrick said this: "I stand before this court a very different man than I was at the beginning of this ordeal 6.5 years ago. My life has been turned upside down." He seemed largely at ease during today's short hearing, and that didn't change when he addressed the court. "I have brought misery to my family and friends. This experience has humbled me. Bottom line, I messed up, no question about it. It was my responsibility, not really anyone else's, to file proper tax returns and pay the taxes that were owed. For my participation in this, I have nothing but deep regrets." After finishing up his remarks, Kilpatrick listened as the judge gave him reason to worry. She said she believed there was evidence to show that he was deeply involved in his son's crooked criminal enterprise, even though a jury couldn't come to that conclusion. She said she could sentence him to more time based on that alone, but ultimately she chose not to. Before stepping into his attorney's car after the sentence was handed down, the unpredictable 72-year-old couldn't resist making a closing statement of his own.
You think that was fair, BK?
Fair? Is it more than a day?
Now, after sentencing him, the judge wished Kilpatrick good luck. He will have to pay $62,000 and some change in restitution, but he won't have to report to prison until sometime after January 1st. We're live outside federal court tonight. I'm Ross Jones, 7 Action News.
15 months in prison, and he's laughing. Ross, do we know where he's going to be spending that time?
Not officially yet, though the judge did say that if he would like to, she'll recommend that he'll spend some time in a prison in Texas. That would put him closer to his family and most likely his son Kwame, who will be spending 28 years there.
All right, Ross Jones reporting live tonight. Thank you, Ross.
Well, joining us now for more insight on Bernard Kilpatrick's sentence is Dan Roberts, former FBI special agent in the Detroit office. And I mean, Dan, we're talking about 15 months. You saw him laughing there, but we heard him on tape threatening people. We saw him on tape taking bribes or money from people. How did the FBI view that in this case?
Well, I know that they were very disappointed, both the agents and the prosecutors who worked on this case, that he was not convicted of those racketeering counts because they felt like they had a very solid case against him. I think if you would characterize him, they would have characterized him likely as a bag man for the organization. So when the jury deadlocked on those RICO counts, the racketeering counts, I know the agents and the prosecutors were likely very disappointed about that.
When you think about the judge having to make that decision, I know he's 72, but how does she come down with 15 months? Does she...
Well, there's a lot of things that go into the pre-sentence report that she has access to, and one of the things that she would consider is the fact that he doesn't really have a criminal record of any kind, which certainly goes in his favor. His age goes in his favor. You know, the fact that his health also is reportedly not that great as well, and the fact that it was just one tax count that he was convicted of, certainly all of those things factor into the judge's sentencing decisions.
You would think he would feel bad seeing his son going away for 28 years, Bobby Ferguson going away for 21 years, and him only 15 months. But at this point, is this saga behind Detroit? We know Bobby Ferguson has another trial to go through, but is the case closed?
The case isn't totally closed yet because I think the agents, or not I think, I know there are agents and attorneys and analysts that are still trying to track some of the money to make sure that they've identified potentially where some of that money ended up, maybe overseas, maybe in other locations. So the case will remain open until they are sure that they've been able to forfeit all the money that may still be out there. But in terms of the active criminal investigation of this case, it's pretty much over.
All right, Dan Roberts, thank you so much throughout this corruption case, being here for us and lending us your legal expertise. I mean, it's been wonderful.
Thanks for having me.